Hey y'all, and welcome to Politibrawl. My name is Brian, and Calley Means, who is a special government employee to Bobby Kennedy Jr. himself, absolutely mops the floor with his Politico host and her lobbyists in the audience. Let's dive in.
Right.
What do you say to people in the public who are concerned now about drug safety, about whether we're prepared for the next pandemic when these cuts have happened so hard, so fast?
Yeah, I'd say to the reporters in the room and the lobbyists in the room, obviously make your case, but I'd truly ask for, as you're making it, a little bit of humility about what the voters were trying to say by putting Bobby Kennedy Jr. in this position of power. A little bit of humility to ask why Bobby Kennedy, along with President Trump, are the two most popular political figures in America by far. What the voters are trying to say, and I think they were right, is that the system is really on the wrong track. That the existing health authorities, just demonstrably, the NIH oversaw, and this is just consensus at this point, the literal creation of a pandemic. The NIH, whose goal is to promote American health, has overseen a devastation, just an abject devastation in American health over the past 20 years, with disease rates skyrocketing in America, leading the world of almost every single chronic disease, with rates of nearly every single chronic disease being at an all-time high among kids. There's real problems, and when you turn on CNBC, it's just a nonstop. It's a nonstop infomercial for pharma. It's a Sky Rizzy commercial followed by Scott Gottlieb saying how Bobby's killing people, followed by a breathless coverage of the measles outbreak and no mention of the mental health crisis.
How does cutting a bunch of HHS solve that problem?
It is insane. It is insane for you to insinuate that the thing standing between us and better health is more government bureaucrats.
That's not what I meant. That's not what I'm insinuating.
That is what everyone's saying. It is absolutely insane to insinuate that it's some crime.
It's not all bureaucrats. It's a lot of scientists. It's researchers. It's people who are making sure that
those scientists fundamentally have overseen, just demonstrably, a record of utter failure. It would be insane. Is that funny? Is that not true? I'd love to hear how, so what metrics would you guys point to for how the scientific community, how the 4 times more per capita on healthcare spending that we spend in America versus other countries has produced innovation? Has there been one single chronic disease medication in modern American history that has lowered rates of the chronic disease? It is appropriate that the American Academy of Pediatrics right now, which is 90% funded by pharma, is pushing Ozempic on 6-year-olds.
So Calley,
that is what the medical authorities are doing.
Why not then use the power that you guys have to push the existing infrastructure in that direction instead of slashing it altogether?
It's not slashing. It's taking it back to 2017 levels. That's not slashing. The amount of bureaucrats.
It's more like 2002 levels, actually.
In many cases, it's actually just not that much. But it is cutting, what is it, 20,000 people? It's taking the HHS back to 68,000 employees. It is absolutely like the idea that Bobby Kennedy should not come in and make dramatic changes to the leadership and the personnel at these authorities that have overseen an abject devastation of American health, which the lobbyists in this room do not have the humility to admit that we have gone completely wrong. The lobbyists in this room laughing when we have the sickest children in the developed world. If that is your attitude, and your attitude is to tell the Maha moms that their votes and their voice is not legitimate, that we need dramatic changes to American healthcare, if you think it is illegitimate for Bobby Kennedy to not make big changes to people like Peter Marks, who once again and again went against FDA advisory opinions, who fired the 2 top vaccine makers, the 2 top vaccine scientists at the FDA for suggesting that we shouldn't mandate COVID shots for soldiers, who continually went against expert opinion in favor of the pharmaceutical industry, who many people here were collaborating with him with. The fact that somebody like that can't be fired and he can't install tremendous people like Marty Makary and Jay Bhattacharya and Dr. Oz to start reforming these agencies and put in their people, of course he should do that. That's what people voted for.
So I think the question, though, is a lot of dynamic responses.
A lot of people that profit from kids being sick.
Let me ask you.
Y'all, that last line right there by Calley Means is the whole key to the biggest problem in the Make America Healthy movement debate, the profit motive. We're not talking about just big corporations who are sending their lobbyists to the Health and Human Services and the HIS. We're not talking about just the fact that these people have been captured by lobbyists. We are talking about the idea that, hey, don't companies make a little bit more money if Americans are a little bit more sick? Those are fundamental questions we need to ask because there's so much information coming you from the left and coming at you from the right that you don't know where to turn. So we need to start off with some of the obvious stuff, okay? There's something called tartrazine, and this is essentially a chemical compound basically made from coal sludge. Do you know where it goes? It goes into yellow dyes. I believe it's yellow dye. It's one of the yellow dyes. Then you have, quite literally, red bug paste that I believe is red dye 5. So we have all these just weird ingredients in our foods, where we normally have natural food colorings that we can be using, but Fruit Loops doesn't want to use it because it means that other people will choose different products. The sad truth is that there's a little bit of human error between just you and me that we pick the brighter colored stuff to eat. Turns out that might actually be even worse for us. And then you have the problem of rising, not rising health rates, lowered health rates. Just the fact that we are more and more sick as a society. I had the pleasure of working for a chemical company that basically made the pre-workout powders, some of the protein powders, and the stuff that we would work with. Let's just say that we didn't know where the lines were, and it's a very unregulated organization. So normally, when you think of more regulation, you naturally need more bureaucrats. Except that we're not getting more regulation. As a matter of fact, we're getting more people literally designed and also using your taxpayer dollars to avoid more of that sort of regulation. So you need to remove people who are going to be standing in the way of a better, healthier America in order to get people in charge and to understand the processes that, hey, there's been a paradigm shift. Bobby Kennedy Jr. was a major part of the Republican movement in 2024, and a whole lot of extra people jumped ship from the Democrats to the Republicans on the offhand chance that, yes, indeed, we're going to have better products that are healthier for the American people and no longer cater to the ridiculous amounts of bureaucratic nonsense that corporations will use and abuse in order to keep their sludge moving so you can eat more of, well, their sludge. That's a problem. That's not fair to the American people. That is not fair to the health of our futures. That's not fair to our kids. The only people that's fair for are the corporations that push it, are the groups like Kellogg's and Frosted Flakes. This is about trying to make sure that our kids aren't obese at the age of 7 because we didn't realize what they were putting into our cereals. It doesn't matter if you read the little it doesn't matter what you read on the ingredients list in the box. That's there for some transparency, but they're able to hide things with natural colors or natural dyes, and they're able to use different languages and different ways, sorry, not languages, but they're using different parts of the English language to try to trick you into thinking that something might be healthier than another. That, simply put, needs to end, and you need a culture of completely differently minded people. There were people laughing in this video that, no, you're wrong, sir. We are the guardians of truth and justice. We are the bureaucrats who stand there against the corporations. Meanwhile, thank you for the extra paycheck. There's a scene in Casablanca where the French policeman shuts down the bar and says that I'm shocked to find that gambling is going on in this establishment. And then someone else comes up with his winnings. He says, thank you very much. And then he shuts down the restaurant because he took the bribe. I am not saying that all bureaucrats do this. As a matter of fact, it's a tiny portion of them. But the majority of these people understand where their bread and butter comes from and Bobby Kennedy Jr. And this gentleman right here is basically saying no more gravy train. We're going off the rails. We have got to stop this nonsense and at least give Americans a fighting chance to have some healthier food options, not just in our grocery stores, but off the shelves entirely for things that are not necessary. There's a lot of conservatives that don't like this message, and I fully understand it. Americans deserve that level of freedom. If we want to balloon up to the size of a tank and die of a gastric bypass and die during gastric bypass surgery at 43, that is one of the beauties of freedom. But it's not fair when people don't understand what it's doing to them. It's not fair when we don't understand just the levels of what is in our food, what might be even in our drinking water at this point. We deserve to know things, and if our worst fears are confirmed, we need a way to fix it. We can't fix it with the old administration. We can't fix it with people who are laughing at the reformers. That can't happen in order to move these things and this message forward. That's what helped won in 2024, and it's a continually winning message. These bureaucrats don't fully understand. These lobbyists don't get it. It's time for them to start shifting things around because, well, the Trump train has pulled in and it's time for some reform. Folks, my name is Brian. Hope you enjoyed that segment here on Politibrawl. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Catch you on the next one. And until then, y'all have a good one.